What if I told you that you cannot change anyone's mind to become successful or to change their lives? You know the frustration. You have a dear friend that you want to help who has always been doing all of the wrong things, making all of the wrong choices, finding him or herself in the same sad situation again and again and again. And because you care about and love this person, you want to help them. You want to inspire them. You want them to change. But the sad news is that you cannot change anyone until they change their own self image of who they believe themselves to be. And the thing about changing one's self image, that is a personal decision that a person makes after they have gotten tired of the same old failure patterns again and again and again. It's kind of like what people say, they hit rock bottom and say, something's got to be better. I've got to change. And it is at that point, that spark that happens inside of the person, that I believe God touches them and says, are you ready now? Are you ready to change? And the person says yes. And then that person goes on the path of changing their self-image by deciding day by day who they have now chosen to be. But it is an internal decision, and it's something that is done by choice of the person in a consistent manner that he or she has determined to do. The thing is, the mistake that most counselors make, most motivational speakers make, most ministers make, most social workers make, and all of the other helpers that try to improve the quality of life of other people, is that they believe that they can change a person by inspiration, by giving them the right thoughts to think. And let me say something about inspiration and motivation and enthusiasm. Motivation is temporary. It's a short burn. It's something that fires you up for a short period of time, and that when the source of that motivation walks away or you walk away from it, it burns away and burns out, and you are back to whoever you were before. Because motivation can't take you or can't take anyone to the path of a permanent change of self-image. That is something that a person has to decide upon because they are tired of being who they are, doing who they are, and having what they have. It is okay to give a person the right ideas, but trust me, it is always up to the person to make the decision to change his or her self-image as to how they see themselves and what they value in terms of what they want to change. And this change of self-image, if a person has been a negative individual for years, a self-image is not going to change overnight. It's not going to change just because they get an inspirational talk from you or from someone else, or they listen to a YouTube video or go to a seminar. Whatever it is, the enthusiasm, the insight, and the inspiration that a person feels when they get good advice from someone is a short burn. Emotion, inspiration, and motivation is temporary. And unless the person has received the spark inside of themselves, which says, I've got to do something about my life, I have got to change. Unless this happens, none of the inspirational speaking and talks that you'll give the person will do any good. You've seen it in the friends that you've tried to help. You talk to them until you're almost blue in the face. You talk to them until your mouth is dry because you don't have any more saliva in which to say anything to them. And they'll nod their head and their eyes will widen and they'll say, yes, yes, I can see it. You're right. You're absolutely right. I definitely need to do this. And then you walk away from them feeling that you've done something very significant. And you come back and look at the person and talk to the person 2 or 3 weeks later, and they're back in the same situation again. And the thing about when you feel that you can change a person in the sense that you can change a person's self-image is very exhausting because it drains you. It puts you in a position that you don't have. Only God can truly inspire the person to move forward. It is the spark that God puts inside of the person and says, are you ready? Are you ready to change? And then the person has to say, yes, I'm ready. And then they go on the path of thinking and doing differently daily in a consistent day-by-day pattern until gradually their self-image changes. But this is a journey that the person has to take consciously and consistently because they have gotten tired of being, doing, and having what they have. And until and unless the person says, there's got to be a better way. I've got to change this. I can't keep doing this. Unless the person comes to that realization, there is nothing that any motivational speaker, friend, preacher, counselor, psychologist, or anyone can do. Yes, it is your obligation to give the best of what you know and what you understand about success if you are enjoying such a success. It is, yes, your responsibility to offer the person these ideas in which they can ruminate on and possibly come to the conclusion on their own that it is their time to change. But you are not responsible for carrying the person along their path to change to the very end by means of your words. There's only so much you can do to help before you begin to drain yourself and deteriorate yourself. If you continually give people help, inspiration, counsel, and advice, and they refuse to change, they drain you and become unwittingly energy leeches because they come back to you to feel good, to feel inspired. They drain you when you give and they don't really do anything consistently with it. And this pattern of helping quote unquote people, seeing them get inspired, nod their heads enthusiastically, oh yes, I see, and then come back in a few weeks and they're doing the same things again, expecting you to give them the same inspirational talk all over again. When you do this and cooperate in this cycle, this will drain you because the person is not giving back anything from the light that you're trying to give to them. So, what am I trying to say with all of this? I am trying to say that you have to be very careful in the role that you think that you're taking in helping another person to become better. Until and unless that person has decided to become better, very little motivational speaking and talking and advice is going to do any good. The best sign is when a person comes to you and says something to the effect, you know, I have been thinking about my life and I have got to change. I have got to do something to change my life. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to see something new and different and correct in my life. Aha! When a person can say this or something similar to this and come to you with this attitude, this is a very, very good sign. Because you cannot create the spark or the light inside of the person. God is the only one who can create light or illumination inside of the person. If the person comes to you with this particular mindset of enlightenment, your job is just to fan the flame, that has been lit inside of the person by God. And in this sense, you will help the person move along because they are already disposed to receive whatever it is that will feed the inspiration that they have accepted within themselves. But until and unless a person has come to terms with the fact that they have to change their lives, until and unless they come to the fact on their own, pretty much, I've got to do something different with my life. Until you see that attitude in the person, your inspiration and your talks to them will only be temporary and transitory, because the emotion that they feel after you talk to them is temporary and it burns out quickly. Motivation, enthusiasm is a short burn. Decision, commitment, and clarity as to what is important when a person realizes that they must change is a consistent burn, because once a person is clear as to the need to change and they are clear as to the why they must change, then change occurs. Your job is only to offer the thoughts that may allow the person to see within themselves, no, I've got to do something about my life. I have got to change. This is the point where true progress and change begins, because it's a journey now that the person has to, day by day, little by little, gradually change their self-image, because the self-image is what keeps a person where they are. You can even give a person money. If their self-image is not correct, will reject it. I have given this example many times before, and it bears giving it again here. Here in Columbia, where I live, I go through the streets sometimes walking, seeing the sidewalk vendors of their fruits, vegetables, and various electronic appliances. And then there's always a person who walks up to me and says, "Oh, sir, can you please help me with any coin that you have that you might help me out with?" And I will always go into my pocket, grab out a fistful of coins and dollar bills, open my hand up wide to the person, and I'll say to them, "Here, take everything that you wish that you see in my hand." And you know what always happens? The person becomes shocked, their eyes open wide, they throw their hands up, they step back, and they say, "Oh, no, I can't take any money like that from you. I can't rob you." I said, "No, you're not robbing me. I'm offering it to you freely. Take it." So, "No, you give me what you feel I deserve." I said, "No, if you don't choose and decide and take what you wish, I'm going to close my hand, walk away, and you will get nothing." Usually at this point, the person will get up enough courage with their hands trembling to extend it out and from my open hand, and they will grab. Do you know what they'll grab? Maybe 1 or 2 coins. And then say, "Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it." And I'll say to them, I said, "Look, if it were me, I would have taken everything." He says, "Oh, no, thank you. God bless you." So why did not, and this has happened many times. I've done this experiment, maybe a dozen times, and it's always the same result. So why doesn't the person take everything that they see that they are offered? It's because their self-image is limited with the belief that this is the only thing that I deserve, and they are uncomfortable with anything more than that. This is how powerful, in a negative way, when it's negative, the self-image is. A person can only achieve as high as they believe and see themselves achieving. So, this person, this beggar in the street, probably has had this self-image for years. And it doesn't change overnight. Just because I'm opening my hands, offering them a fistful of money. In the same way, a friend who has had for years a self-image of maybe drinking too much or a feeling that they can't achieve anything, giving up, Maybe this person has had this self-image and has nurtured this self-image for years, and it's not going to change overnight just because you give a motivational speech. They can acknowledge the truth of what you say and feel excited for a minute, but after you leave, all of that emotion will dissipate and they'll go back to who they were before. We're talking about change of self-image that is a personal decision on behalf of the person, and it is a process that that person must go through willingly, consistently, and daily until that self-image is changed. So, in other words, what I am saying is that if your friend or the person who you're trying to help has a negative self-image of him or herself, which they have had over years, it's not going to change overnight just because you give a motivational speech to them. It will help them only if there is a point where they have decided, this is enough, I've got to change. When they get to this point, your words will matter because it will be fuel to help them to continue to move forward with their decision to move forward. So I say this to say to be careful about pouring your heart out to someone who consistently rejects what you say a few days after you have given them the particular counsel. You have to detach and not feel responsible for people's decisions. Everyone is responsible for their own decision. And if a person is consistently deciding to do the wrong thing because they have not made the decision to move in the correct direction, your responsibility is not to carry the person until they reach a goal that you consider to be better for them. Each person walks their own path. Your job is to give what you have to give and then detach. Did you hear what I just said? You give what you must give and then you detach from the person. You cannot change anyone. You can only offer what you have. To say that you can change someone is to say that you can change their self-image. That is something that only the person, him or herself, can do. So I give this to you as somewhat of a warning, a caution, shall we say. Give advice to others, but then detach from feeling responsible that they must change. This will save you from being drained, and this will allow them to make the decision on their own to change. There's only so much you can do, and then you must detach. This is yours truly, Charles Prosper, your consistency success coach, wishing you as always to remain consistent and to be successful.